is NTV. This is NTV.
It is 9 p.m. in Kampala on this 14th day of September 2012. You're right on time for tonight's NTV Weekend Edition. Now tonight we have a rich array of stories lined up for you, including stories on human trafficking right here in our background and reforming O-level education. These stories plus the latest in sport will be coming your way right after these headlines.
Busted. Immigration police unearthed human trafficking racket in Chiwatulia, Kampala suburb.
A new education system has been crafted to replace the current O-level syllabus. Join me, Suhail Mugabi, as I bring you the details to the story.
In this week's profile, I'm also told to bring you Dick Echuban, a successful businessman and also an engineer in the district of Katakwi.
Proline will play in this season's National Super League with the main intent of becoming champions. Join me, Alfred Odom, for the details of this story and how the officials are setting up their side.
Welcome to tonight's NTV Weekend Edition. I am Josephine Karunji. The Ministry of Education and Sports and the National Curriculum Development Center have developed a lower secondary education curriculum, a reform that will be implemented in the year 2014. 7 learning areas, which include math, science, social studies, creative arts, languages, technology and life education, are to replace the 43 subjects that are currently running on the O-level syllabus.
The late Professor Senteza Kajubi, in his report submitted to the Ministry of Education in 1989, he saw the need for a special education program for the children in Uganda. His wish was not granted at that time, but today his dream might finally manifest. The National Curriculum Development Center have come up with a lower secondary education reform codenamed Curriculum Assessment and Examination Reform, CURASE. This reform has 7 learning areas of science, maths, creative arts, social studies, languages, technology, and life education to replace the 43 traditional subjects that have been running in O-level.
You need to know that we cannot take everything that is there in this world into the curriculum. So that's why we scope and sequence, we edit, we streamline, and we do what we think can be learned, first of all, by that age group, because we're talking about age 13 to about 16.
This program that is expected to begin in 2014 will cater for the needs of the students and also groom them for day-to-day life situations, unlike the current syllabus that is said to be outdated.
So there are some obsolete content, even obsolete content in geography. We are still teaching people about the Tennessee Valley, is it? And other things which no longer exist.
This new reform follows several that have been made in the education sector to help the ordinary child cope in the ever-evolving world. The 7 learning areas will have generic skills and also include new strands as topics such as visual arts, information communications technology, entrepreneurship, literacy, earth and space science, personal and social education, society and leadership, people and environment, among others. The National Curriculum Development Center is carrying out research and is appealing to the public to bring forward ideas that can improve the current O-level education system.
Well, that story on reforming our O-level system is our point of interaction with you, our viewers, tonight. And we ask, how can our education system in Uganda be best improved to help the youth cope with the changing world? I repeat, how can our education system in Uganda be best improved to help the youth cope with the changing world? SMS your thoughts by typing NTV poll, leave a space followed by a brief comment and send to 8778. Stay tuned, we shall sample some of your views during the bulletin and some more towards the end of tonight's newscast. Now, across the border, police in Nairobi have recovered deadly weapons at a house in the Eastleigh area in the capital, Nairobi. The weapons include 6 bombs, 12 grenades, 4 AK-47 rifles and 480 bullets. Anti-terrorism police say the arsenal were found in a house following a tip-off. 2 suspects of Somali origin were arrested during the down security operation. Police sources in the Kenyan capital say they anticipated getting more weapons.
The raid took place in the early hours of the morning, and when it was done, this is what the police had recovered: 12 grenades, 6 bombs, 4 AK-47 rifles and nearly 500 bullets. And the police arrested 2 suspects who are believed to be part of a plot to attack some target on Kenyan soil.
These are very, very dangerous items that have been recovered. This can cause a very big damage considering the threats that we have in the country right now. This is a composition of explosives, grenades, firearms. This is a very, very, very organized, team that are ready to cause problems in the country.
The raid was only the latest in Eastleigh, where police suspect some of the terrorist cells may be operating from. The weapons discovery would be a cause of concern to many Kenyans, since the country has been on high alert for months now following the entry of Kenyan forces into Somalia.
Tuko sasa na very deadly explosives that have been prepared. Simetayarizwa. Hizo ni kwenda kutumika tu, ni mtu achukue atumie kama suicide bomber, aingie mahali wa Kenya wako, the innocent Kenyan soldiers into know, aingie katikati yao na yeye anachiripua naye na anaua watu wengi sana. Na akikosa kufanya hivyo pia anaweza akaweka hii kitu kama kamzigo.
It is not yet clear if the suspects have any connection with Somalia terror group Al-Shabaab, but the militants have been threatening to attack key targets in Kenya since the Somalia operation began. The 2 suspects are said to be of Somali origin, and police hope to find valuable information from them on their failed plot. Irene Choge, NTV.
Protesters have attacked Western embassies in Tunisia, Yemen and now Sudan as a wave of demonstrations against an anti-Islam film swelled and swept across much of the Muslim world after Friday prayers. At least 5 people have been killed in today's demonstrations over a film made in the US that is alleged to mock Islam.
In Khartoum, the Sudanese capital, protesters broke into the U.S. embassy grounds. Earlier, they had stormed the UK and German embassies. The protests stem from a film trailer demonstrators say insults the Prophet Muhammad. The film was blamed for an attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya's eastern city of Benghazi that killed the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans on Tuesday, the anniversary of the September 11, 2001 Al-Qaeda attacks on the United States. In Cairo, demonstrators clashed with the police near the U.S. embassy, while in Gaza City, protesters waved the flags of the Hamas and Islamic Jihad movements and set fire to American flags. In Tunis, the Tunisian capital, crowds scaled the U.S. embassy walls and set fire to trees within the compound. Protesters also clashed with police in Yemen, where 1 person died and 15 were injured the day before when the U.S. embassy compound was stormed. Crowds also gathered against the California-made film for the second day in Malaysia, Bangladesh and Iraq.
News from across the world. Now back here in Uganda, President Museveni has summoned the NRM caucus to meet at State House in Entebbe on Monday next week. The agenda of the meeting is still unclear. The meeting comes after Parliament rejected the passing of the budget after government failed to allocate an extra 260 billion shillings for health workers.
The 10 trillion budget for the financial year 2012-2013 failed to sail through Parliament yesterday evening. The plenary sitting ended beyond 9 p.m. with no solutions to MPs' demands. The lawmakers insisted that government allocates an extra 260 billion shillings to cater for the salaries and the recruitment of health workers.
Most of the hospitals have become white elephants. That was the notion of the sectoral committee to work with the executive to ensure that 260 billion has been identified. It was not identified.
Places where the money was being cut were places where there was this issue of entertainment, stationery, hiring of venues, buying of chairs, special meals and refreshments. Those are now wines. And we said, let us remove this money and we put it specifically into it. And what we are doing, as by the way, as Parliament, we are saying let us now aim at service delivery.
But we have found that what is not deterred by the law is permissible. So Parliament is empowered by law.
Some individuals who are beneficiaries of those wasteful expenditures, they will never support this at all.
Perhaps resulting from this move, President Museveni has today summoned the NRM MPs to meet at State House Entebbe on Monday next week.
It is true, I have just received the message that he has summoned us to go to Entebbe on Monday.
There is no clear agenda for the meeting, but the MPs insist that they will not be deterred until the money is found.
Is that a very bad idea? Will you call me rebel for that? Will you say I'm becoming a bit uncooperative? And I am telling you, we have to stop being selfish. That is it. Even if they removed some money from my salary.
President Museveni is expected to persuade the MPs to approve the appointment of Kayunga woman MP Ida Nantaba as minister after the Appointments Committee of Parliament suspended her approval. The meeting is expected to address the Karuma hydropower project, which has stalled due to the confusion arising from the bidding process. The meeting also comes a few days after the party lost the Butambala by-election, which for long has been occupied by the NRM ruling party. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
We shall now break off for a short while, but we'll return with more news, and this is some of what you can expect.
In this week's profile, meet Katakwi's most successful mechanical engineer. And Proline FC gets set for the 2012-2013 season. NTV Weekend Edition continues after this short break. Stay with us.
This is NTV.
It's party time every day at 4:30 p.m. Feel the music. Try out your favorite dance strokes. Watch the latest music videos from artists around the world as you dance to the beat.
Girl, you got me screaming fiesta. Body language saying whatever.
Only on The Beat, Monday to Friday on NTV, your official groove station.
This is NTV.
We know that all music is beautiful, and that's why NTV brings you The Catalogue. Every day at 2:15 p.m. with the classics on Monday, reggae on Tuesday, country on Wednesday, Africa on Thursday. We know that all music.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. We begin with a reminder. In our NTV Weekend poll earlier on, we asked you, how can our education system in Uganda be best improved to help the youth cope with the changing world? I repeat, how can our education system in Uganda be best improved to help the youth cope with the changing world? To have your say, text 8778 followed by your name and where you are texting from. Some of the responses that have come in so far, we start with Ezi Mugasha, who says, remove history from the syllabus and encourage specialization from senior 4. Kiden Wani says emphasis should be put on more practical subjects such as music, art, home management, food and nutrition, carpentry, to mention but a few. The education system is rather long and sports should be given time as well. Mike Segawa says technical or vocational skills should be integrated into primary and secondary education syllabus, or they should make a compulsory diploma in vocational studies, and everyone should take it before joining the university. Well, thank you so much for all of those responses. We will take a look at some more towards the end of tonight's newscast. Now moving on, the Ministry of Health has decided to send money meant for mobilizing government programs directly to resident district commissioners instead of the district health officials like it has always been. This is meant to uplift immunization programs which have performed below expectation in the past years because of the withdrawal of Gavi funds.
Following the misappropriation and withdrawal of the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization Funds, Gavi, the immunization program was badly affected since 2005. According to the recent findings of the Uganda Health Demographic Survey, Uganda is at only 52% in immunization. Also, according to the data analyzed by WHO, basing on the immunization trends, Uganda is ranked the same with the war-torn countries of Somalia, Congo and Chad.
So the statistics, unfortunately, are true. Because you just need to go and derive them from first principles. You just go to the sub-county and you will find a lot of unimmunized children.
This partly explains the recent outbreak of measles in almost 50 districts that called for an urgent mass immunization campaign. During the resident district commissioners meeting aimed at analyzing the recent country immunization drive, issues of government programs being politicized and poor mobilization were cited during the immunization period.
You find a whole member of parliament telling people that, have you seen me immunizing my children? This is because they have bought a drug that is going to kill your people.
Especially people want to listen to elders in Karamoja. They consider elders very, very important.
Now the RDCs have been brought on board to help in the mobilization of immunization programs. Money for mobilizing immunization campaign that was earlier channeled through the district health office will now be issued directly to RDC's office.
Normally what happens when this money comes, it comes secretly. Secretly because like the office of the RDC, there is now a guideline that all the monies, all the information that comes to the district should even be channeled through the RDC's office, and this is not happening.
For instance, in the previous immunization, budget to come and send us a social mobilization today. I was trying to cross-check. The money was sent.
Uganda has received Gavi funds worth $7 billion in the first year as a test. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Members of the Bugisu Cooperative Union are demanding that Honorable Nandala Mafabi be reinstated to his former position as the chairperson of the union. This call comes after government's delay to conclude its investigations into the accusations brought against Mafabi regarding the alleged mismanagement of the union's accounts in 2010. The farmers decided to hold a meeting outside the union's gate after police blocked them from holding the meeting inside the union's premises.
Basing on delays by government to produce the forensic audit report investigating the leader of opposition, Nandala Mafabi, on allegations that he falsified and mismanaged the Bugisu Cooperative Union's account, leading to a loss of over 3.8 billion shillings, the farmers are now demanding that Mafabi be restored to his former position as the chairperson of the union, including all other members of the board who were suspended with him.
The forensic audit committee of about 2 auditors, qualified auditors. Government put them there, and even that report is not yet officially out. Now we are wondering what is happening.
The farmers stormed the premises with the aim of holding a meeting inside the union's boardroom, but were blocked by police, which says the meeting was likely to cause violence.
I'm not a farmer, but I'm talking as the Deputy Regional Police Commander Eastern in connection with security. So your being here alone is causing a lot of tension.
The farmers then decided to hold the meeting just outside the gate, where they came up with 2 major resolutions.
The Nandala board has to be reinstated. The government has got to organize for a special general meeting within 21 days. Those are the 2 main demands.
The farmers have also accused the current caretakers installed by government of embezzling about 2.5 billion shillings, which has left the union swimming in huge debts.
He is the most successful mechanical engineer in Katakwi district and owns a vocational training institute. Yet Dick Ekuban's life was not a mirror of success years ago. He could not continue with his A-level studies and joined the vocational institute, not realizing that this would be his breakthrough in life. In this week's profile, Maurice Ochol traveled to Katakwi, where he met up with Dick Ekuban.
It's here in Katakwi district where I found a man considered the most successful motor mechanic in Katakwi district. Dick Ekuban was born in 1979 in Mukura Ngora district to Onyiru Silva and Atima Joyce, the 7th child in a family of 8 children. He started in his primary education late.
In Ngora Boys, then from there I went to secondary. I was in Ikume Weginess.
After his O-level, Ekuban could not continue with his education. He stayed at home and started to work to raise money to pay for a vocational education.
Even sitting O-level was difficult for me. I resorted to beating bricks, then I sold those bricks.
After accumulating some money, he then joined a vocational institute where he took a course in mechanical engineering.
That's when I joined to Benedictine Fathers, Tororo.
His first employment was at the police mechanical garage in Naguru, where he also did his industry training. But he did not last there long.
When those people said, we don't need civilians, we need the military. And by then, I was fearing something to do with a gun. And I said I shouldn't be a soldier.
After quitting the police garage in 1999, he then returned to Kumi, where he worked on a project run by an NGO, Irish Aid, where he was paid 50,000 shillings per week. He moved on to settle in Katakwi, but at the beginning, life wasn't that easy.
Then we opened something. It was spares of motorcycles. And by then we had a few motorcycles. It was only for the government.
Here in Katakwi?
In Katakwi, yeah. Not like these days where you see so many.
For Echuban, his resilience was nurtured during his early education, where he was taught to be self-sufficient and own a business. It is this that encouraged him to start a motor repair workshop.
That's why when I was trained by this white, he told me, you are going to do a self-reliance job. Don't think of going to look for a job.
He started off with his business with a capital of 2 million shillings. However, through the course of his work, he has survived close to 7 accidents.
I have had more than 6 accidents. Even I'm still alive. Even as I talk, I have a material in the leg. I have all this hand was broken. That was in April 29. And even here, I have a material in the leg. Actually, I call it a metal.
At one point, Echuban ventured into owning a driving school in Katakwi, but it failed to pick up because many couldn't afford it.
You cannot train a person who does not eat anything. So at times, I could get those challenges.
To him, patience and endurance are the binding agents to success. Currently, his aim is to see vocational school that he opened turn regional. Dick Echuban is married to Rose Atwalo. Together they have 4 children. In fact, his wife is one of the first students that he taught mechanics.
I started by leaving her in the shop. When I get some outside work, I could run. Then I started teaching her slowly until she speaks well. And then when I had this terrible accident, I said if I had died, then my family would have suffered.
To Dick Echuban, although he may be the most successful mechanic in Katakwi, his vision is to be the best in the region. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs, together with other security agencies, have cracked down on 3 companies that have allegedly been facilitating people to leave the country illegally in the name of getting them jobs abroad. The workers of Oasis Investment Group, Triple Canopy and Brega International were netted today, and over 500 Ugandan passports have been confiscated. Cynthia Sio has that story.
This afternoon, officials from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Interpol, Immigrations and Uganda Police stormed 3 companies involved in human trafficking. This occurred after they received intelligence reports regarding the 3 companies.
Among the other documents, we've recovered about 500 passports, we've recovered hundreds of processing forms, several medical reports, contracts of employment already signed by people, some of which are valid since August. And you are aware that this country, this government has enacted the Uganda migrant labor regulations abroad, and they require that anyone recruiting employment for abroad should be licensed.
The area local council chairperson says he has been receiving people who wanted recommendation letters from him required by the company. However, his efforts to establish the legality of the company remained futile.
They've been assuring me verbally that we have the documents. People have been coming here every day, lining up here.
The director of the company denies the allegations, claiming he was still in the process of licensing the company.
Now, I have it registered, okay? Now, for the part of the license, I'm very aware nobody can be taken out of here before the license is given to you. The Ministry of Labour is aware that I put in an application for license.
The number of such unregistered companies is on the rise in the country, and according to immigration officials, it is as a result of ignorance among Ugandans. According to the 2012 Trafficking in Persons report, Uganda is a source and destination country for men, women and children subjected to forced labor and sex trafficking. Ugandan trafficking victims were reported in the UK, Denmark, Iraq, South Sudan, Kenya, China, Thailand and Malaysia. Cynthia Asio, NTV.
Thank you, Cynthia. The European Union will, by July 2013, roll out an agricultural equity partnership as part of the move by development partners to improve and increase funding to the agriculture sector under the Agriculture Strategy and Investment Plan. Up to 18 crops and animal areas will be targeted, including inputs and value addition. Samuel Zatumba has more of that story.
By July next year, serious farmers will have an additional channel of funding from the European Union, but this time it will not be debt financing, but equity, where farmers will partner with the European Union to run enterprises in the agriculture sector.
In 2 or 3 months, we will come to the conclusion to setting up an equity fund for farmers, small and medium agriculture and agribusiness enterprises. We believe that loans at 25% interest rate are not adequate finance for farmers.
This is part of the partnership that includes the World Bank and the government of Uganda to implement the Agricultural Strategy and Investment Plan, which is supposed to transform the agriculture sector.
We will mobilize the private sector and the farmers' organizations. So what is being targeted is actually a quantum jump in the agricultural sector, so that we go from where we are now to a much higher level in agriculture.
The ministry and development partners are currently in the process of establishing the needed intervention in several traditional and non-traditional crops, plus livestock, and value addition to all these to raise productivity and returns in agriculture. This is another apparently good shot at agriculture, but will it survive the still birth of programs like the Plan for the Modernization of Agriculture? Samuel Zatumba, NTV, Weekend Edition.
Thank you, Sam. Let's turn now to the very latest in sport with Joel Kamadi just before we go for a short break. Joel, good evening. What do you have in sport today?
Good evening, Josephine, and thank you. Now, a report on the differences between FIFA and the USL was released today. Now, I'll be giving you more of this and so much more in NTV Weekend Sport up next.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
We know that all music is beautiful, and that's why NTV brings you the catalogue. Every day at 2:15 p.m. with the classics on Monday, reggae on Tuesday, country on Wednesday, Africa on Thursday, and love ballads on Friday.
You're like a dream come true. Just wanna be with you.
The beautiful sound of music only on NTV, your official music station.
To be honest, is one of the most scary genres of music for me. For me every day. Irifemasi nisu tadi magero.
Good evening, I'm Joel Kamadi and welcome to NTV Weekend Sport. Now, a report on the differences between the Federation of Uganda Football Association and the Uganda Super League was this afternoon handed over to the Minister of Sports, Charles Bakabolindi. The probe committee investigating the wrangles that the government is to give the national football governing FUFA all the necessary support, while the minister once again denounced Uganda Super League, as Alfred Odong reports.
Haji Abbas Kawasi Mukasa this afternoon handed a report on the wrangles between FUFA and Uganda Super League to the Minister of Sports, Charles Bakabulindi, with a suggestion for him to spearhead the registration of the national football governing body. The findings done after interacting with FUFA, USL and key stakeholders in football also found out that Uganda Super League managers had documents clearly citing FUFA as being supervisors of their activities.
We discovered that FUFA Limited had been sanctioned by the General Assembly of FUFA, and therefore there was no cause for USL to challenge that body.
The committee, however, has reservation on the suspension of USL chairman Julius Kavuma Kabenge, an act they say should have been done by the Assembly. They are blaming FUFA for mandating USL to run the league and also not having any agreement on revenue sharing. The minister, on receiving the report, requested to be given some time to look through it, but reiterated his acknowledgement of only one Premier League, FUFA Super League.
I said what transpired in Nambo is something that is not under CAF or FIFA or FUFA. Should they mention that it is under that heading of Baklo and what have you, they will not be around. Yes.
He committed himself to ensuring that no rival competition to FUFA Super League will be allowed to be played in any government facility. Alfred Odong, NTV Sport.
Now, to expound on those issues, we are joined in the studio by Clive Chazea, sports analyst. Welcome to NTV.
Thanks for having me, Joel.
Now, Clive, the report on the FUFA USL wrangles is finally out. How relevant are the findings, especially that USL has been denounced by the minister and the world governing?
Well, for starters, I think the denunciation of USL shouldn't be making news, and the report itself, I mean, these are things that have been around for quite some time. The State Minister for Sports every now and then puts up such committees to bring out reports, and the findings by the chairman, Haji Abbas Kawasi, I think these are things that have been going on. These are things that the public knows that FUFA and USL have been fighting about, and we did hear what the minister said, that he's going to take time, go through the report, and then when he goes through the report, we will be waiting for the decision of the minister, which decision I don't think will actually give us some hope that sanity will finally return to Ugandan football.
Okay, now the chairman of the committee was named as head of the directors of the FUFA Super League. Some critics say the document was biased. What is your take?
No, I wouldn't say it was biased because when you say it was biased, you're actually not really saying that the person who was in charge of the committee is competent enough, which I believe Haji Abbas Kawasi is. And like I said, the findings of his report, these are things that have been around in the sports circles, and it's not news. You get a feeling that probably he should have gone an extra mile to give us the genesis of the basis of all these wrangles and the solution to these wrangles, which solutions in the report are yet to be told. And with a man of his experience, for someone who has been around football for quite some time, he should have done better than that. But the critics to come out and say that there is bias in the report. No, there is no bias. He just didn't do a good job.
Okay, Clive, there is a suggestion that FUFA should be legally registered in consultation with the Attorney General. Does this confirm those challenging FUFA's legality? Are they right?
I wouldn't say they are right, and of course that advice you would say you're just adding salt to the wound. I mean, we've gone through enough, and now going ahead saying that the Attorney General should actually advise before FUFA is registered, I don't think we are actually into football right now. What we are going into is something I would say you would call politics or even business. I think what we need is FUFA and USL to sit together, agree, decide on a few issues here and there, because we from the outside don't really know what these people are fighting for. We are just speculating and saying that FUFA should be registered. Now, how many times will FUFA be registered? This will be like the 4th or 5th time. it has been registered enough. So people involved in all these battles should just learn to agree, know what's good for football, and try to make sure that they work for that good.
What about the teams that are having reservations about the suspension of Kavuma Kabenge on grounds that it should have been done by the assembly? How binding is this?
Well, I should say it's a sign of ignorance because Julius Kavuma Kabenge is the chairman of Uganda Super League Limited. And actually, before he was banned, Uganda Super League Limited had not yet been endorsed or blessed to join the FIFA Assembly. What we had there was the Uganda the Super Division Club Associations. And so there's no way the Assembly would have gone ahead and ban somebody who is not in the Assembly. So I don't think that should have happened. Okay. And FIFA were right. Okay, they did it, but they did it as a person, and that's why he has always come out and said that I'm not a member of FIFA because USL by then was not under the FIFA Assembly. Okay, Clive. Finally,
does this report mark the end of the wrangles, and what lessons can be learned from this?
It won't mark anything. I think the wrangles are going to continue. If only Kavuma Kabenge can decide to step aside, the wrangles will stop. If he doesn't step aside, the wrangles will continue, which I suspect actually is not going to step aside. So the report, like I said in the beginning, like the rest of the other reports, is not going to do anything for Ugandan football, and the fighting is going to continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Clive. It's been good to have you. Now, Proline have set sight on winning this year's National Football Premier League, relying on their being together for a long time and the return of Patrick Edema from Ethiopia to boost the offensive. Alfred Odong captured the training session this morning and now files this report, including officials' plan for the team in the long run.
With about 10 days left to the kickoff of the FIFA Super League, Proline have intensified their preparations as they look to winning their first league title this season. The youthful side had their drills in Kampala early this morning, with officials looking to making better their performance compared to last season when they finished in mid-table. Patrick Edema's return from loan away in Ethiopia's St. George provides a better attacking setup for coach Abdallah Mubiru. Though teams have heavily invested ahead of the 2012-2013 season, Proline management have not ruled themselves out of contest for the championship.
As in, he's gone up in the club, he's a good player, so he's going to add us value as regards going forward, because even last year we lost that trophy in the last 4 matches. We have to pick ourselves from what happened last season and go on. The boys, the team, we have the ability, we have the maturity, and of course the organization to fight for the title. However,
the chase for the title aside, management hopes to embark on their long-time dream of constructing their own home starting next year.
Our long-term vision is to have a fully-fledged academy. We need a school where we can educate the boys and at the same time have them play football. I think next year we're going to start on that project.
Officials are also proud of 4 of their nurtured players: Sula Matovu, Ivan Bukenya, Simon Imbazila, and Alex Junior Kakoba, featuring in professional leagues in Asia and Europe. This is the 4th season for Proline competing in the National Premier League. Much as they are not highly rated, they believe that having stayed together as a team for the last 6 years gives them a chance to clinch the national title. Alfred Odong, NTV Sport.
Finally, in NTV Weekend Sport, Barcelona forward Alexis Sanchez has joined teammate Andres Iniesta on the injury list after returning from international duty with Chile with a minor leg muscle tear. In boxing, Ricky Hatton will fight at the Manchester Arena on November 24th after confirming his comeback at a press conference this morning. Sanchez will miss Barca's league match at Getafe on Saturday when they will seek a 4th win in 4 games this season, the club said in a statement on their website. The speed of his recovery will determine whether he will be available for Wednesday's Champions League Group G match at home to Spartak Moscow, the statement added. Iniesta picked up a leg muscle strain playing in a World Cup qualifier for Spain against Georgia on Tuesday and is out for 10 to 15 days, his club said. Elsewhere, it will be Hatton's first fight since a brutal defeat at the hands of Manny Pacquiao in Las Vegas 3 years ago. The former two-weight world champion, who turns 34 next month, will take on an as yet unnamed opponent. Hatton has overcome drug and alcohol problems since hanging up the gloves and established his own promotions company, which ran into problems in May when he lost his television deal with Sky. British Boxing Board of Control General Secretary Robert Smith revealed Hatton will be granted a new license upon completion of a medical. Hatton said he is desperate to earn the nation's pride again after seeing his life turn to mush in the 3 years since he last fought. The Hyde fighter has suffered a series of well-publicized issues in his private life since his last fight saw him knocked out by Pacquiao in their IBO light welterweight title fight in Las Vegas. And that wraps up NTV Weekend Sport. Back to you, Josephine.
Well, thank you, Joel. Let's take another short break, but when we get back, I'll have your weekend responses and our weather report.
This is NTV.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna. No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met, how can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistance, Yakazol.
Yeah. I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it? New time.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
Your Saturday afternoons just got better on NTV with Exposed. Join Cats and the Platinum DJs as they bring you some mad DJ skills and crazy video mixes.
You're now rocking with the best. Catch us every Saturday as we live. We'll take you through an experience you'll never forget.
Remember to call in with your music requests and also get a chance to win some incredible goodies. That's every Saturday from 1:30 p.m. only on NTV, the station that digs your music. Saturday afternoons.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. In our weekend poll tonight, we asked you, how can our education system in Uganda be best improved to help the youth cope with the changing world? More of your responses. We start with Noah Ekilex, who says, revise the syllabus, especially geography. Why should a student study about places they may never visit? Students should be taught about what they can apply practically in this country and in Africa. Agaba Everson says, by making entrepreneurship education compulsory at all levels and making it more practical because it gives learners more business skills for survival. Daniel Olel says, resurrect the almost dead colleges and vocational institutions, shorten the years of high school and emphasize on skills attainment and development instead of just passing exams. And finally, Michael Stanley says, we spend too much time in classrooms and we get less of the real outside world. Students should be encouraged in their talents rather than forcing them to cram Western practices. And that's all the responses we had time for. Thank you so much for sending them in. Let's take a quick look at Saturday's projected weather.
NTV weather with
Refuse, it is the strength of our nation. as strong as
This is NTV.
Forever, he does not change. And those who strive with you shall perish. I pray that which is about your blood.
This is NTV. This is NTV.